A sermon. Well, not really a sermon. It's more of a mindless diatribe, or perhaps better stated, a one-man moranathon, has been circulating the internet in which Ed Young, pastor of Fellowship Church in Texas, goes into a tirade over the biblical doctrine of grace, what is commonly referred to as Calvinism. The first time I heard Mr. Young speak was at the Thomas Road Baptist Church Conference, also known as the Liberty Super Conference, and I believe it was in 2004. He was one of the keynote speakers. I have to admit, my first thought at the end of his presentation was one of amazement. How could one man, supposedly called to be a minister, be so ignorant of the Scriptures? Later that night, after my evening prayer time and reflecting upon the day, I considered the possibility I may have been harsh in my assessment and unfair in my judgment. Perhaps Mr. Young was having a bad day. Perhaps I was. After all, I was away from home. Mr. Young was to speak the next evening, and I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt and grant him another hearing. Now, my friends, the second night was worse than the first, and I, for one, was ashamed to be sitting there. I might as well have been listening to a football coach give his team a pep rally. The one thing Mr. Young continually harped on during his presentation was how large his membership rolls were. Over the course of the conference, I cannot tell you how many times he touted that he had 24,000 members in his church. So please know, I take this guy with a grain of salt. Now, as to his diatribe on Calvinism, others have responded to his comments, so I will not be doing that here. If you would like to listen to a point-by-point refutation to Mr. Young's silly, juvenile attempt to sound theological, I encourage you to go to the website of Dr. James R. White and Alpha and Omega Ministries. However, I do have something to say. Hello, I'm Jerry Johnson, and I welcome you to this edition of Against the World. This episode of Against the World is being brought to you by our good friends, the Hammond family of Hopkinton, Rhode Island, and by Aleski, Oksana, Philip, Nikita, and Mesha Fomachenko. Again, beloved, we thank you for your support. And by RP Missions. If you believe you are called to do mission work and would like to explore opportunities with a well-respected Reformed Presbyterian missionary agency, then please visit them on the web at www.rpmissions.org. One of the first things I have to address is Mr. Young's accusation that Calvinists wear skinny jeans. Really, don't I wish? I'm not kidding. He said it like 5 times. I have no idea what he meant by that. But on a more serious note, men like Mr. Young and his followers either know nothing of the Bible and church history, or they willfully deny it. The result? Many of the professed Arminians in the Southern Baptist Convention are not really Arminian at all. They are semi-Pelagian at best, and on the verge of embracing a full-blown Pelagianism. They are teaching that lost men can seek God, contrary to the apostles' words in Romans 3:10 and 11. There is none righteous, no, not one. There is none that understandeth. There's none that seeks after God. These men theorize, based upon experience, that every man, woman, and child is capable of seeking Christ. This false doctrine is a result of their belief that man's will is free and unaffected by the fall in the Garden of Eden. In our documentary, Amazing Grace, the History and Theology of Calvinism, we called this the Wounded Man Theory. Little does Mr. Young realize that this doctrine takes one down the primrose path straight into the Pelagian heresy. A heresy which is not only contrary to the teachings of Christ and his apostles, but has also been condemned consistently throughout the history of the Christian church. The Bible teaches that man has a will. Hear me on this. Man has a will, but man's will is in bondage to its sinful nature, that we are all born slaves to sin. Therefore, fallen man cannot, indeed fallen man will not, choose the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. This is what I call the dead man theory. Here is how Christ explained to his disciples how they came to him. You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit. So, the $64,000 question is, are you a disciple of the Lord Jesus Christ? One would logically think that if Christ chose his first disciples and they did not choose him, then the same would go for all of his disciples. You did not choose him, he chose you. It can't get any simpler than that, my friends. Matthew Henry, the great commentator, stated this: Christ's choice is prior to theirs and directs it and determines it. Of all that are chosen to grace and glory, it may be said, they have not chosen Christ, but he has chosen them. Henry then references Deuteronomy chapter 7, verses 7 and 8, which reads, The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people, but you were the fewest of all people, but because the Lord loved you. My friends, this is why Christians can sing, Oh, how I love Jesus, because he first loved me. So wake up, Mr. Young. You are, in fact, kicking against the goads. Until next time, this is Jerry Johnson, wishing I was wearing skinny jeans, standing contra mundum against the world.